So we have a huge shakeup in the top 10 retail stocks that were bought by us, the little guys, and we have some new stocks on this list. But of course, there are problems with this list too. And there's a new number one that we were buying en masse this month. So let's discuss the good and the bad from a long-term buy and holder's perspective, as we got a new number one stock and many changes on this list that we got to get into. Just make sure you like the video if you like getting the truth out the hype, because that is exactly what we're going to get today, guys. And thank you guys very, very much. Those of you that do it early, I love it. Thank you very much. It really, really helps the channel. Now remember, keep in mind, these are not my stock picks at all. These are the top 10 stocks that retail investors were buying up in the past month. So not my list. My list would look very different if these were my top 10 stocks, but I feel like we need to talk about the stocks that we're buying en masse, because some of them are great, some of them are terrible, some of them in between. If you want my top stocks that I'm buying, make sure you take advantage of the fall frenzy sale that's going on right now for my group, where I got that watch list with price targets, see all my buy and sell one more time, so much more, guys. We'll talk about more at the end. Just check it out, pinned comment down there. But let's move on to the first stock, and it's a new stock, and it is Google. Finally, Google makes it on the list. Unfortunately, it didn't make it on the list when it was down in the 150 range just earlier this year. I know right here on this channel, if you guys were following, subscribed and all that good stuff, you got to see I was making video after video after video, Google being on there. Of course, I got blasted a lot for doing that, but nonetheless, that's all part of the fun here on YouTube. Google is a great company executing on a high level, and I hope this isn't true, but it seems to follow a pattern sometimes that we have as retail. We don't want anything to do with it when it's 150, but then when it goes on an epic run, it's at 230, 240, 250. Now all of a sudden we want to pile into the stock after it's already gone from its undervalued point up to where it's on a big run there. Now, thankfully, it's not overvalued or crazy or anything else of that nature. We're not looking at a Tesla 2021 situation, not even close, not even in the ballpark of that. It's still a good buy at these prices. But man, we had an opportunity just a few months ago, and hopefully those of you guys right here on this channel took advantage of Google back in that 150, under $200 range, because we got that for months upon months upon months. But still a great company, still a great buy, and I'm happy to see it on this list. Unfortunately, we got some bad things coming up here that I don't know why they're on the list. But let's start with number 9, which is Meta. Now, I'm saying this one is a negative, not because of the company, because it actually fell 2 spots. So its stock price has kind of started to slide down a little bit. Obviously, some negative headlines and such. And of course, it fell right out deal instead of buying up the dip on the stock. Now, I'm not going to disagree and say, hey, maybe there's more of a dip to come, especially if he continues to spend as much as he says he's going to spend on AI and everything else in the coming months. I understand that completely, but it's still a great company and a great buy at these prices, especially given the fact they're just now monetizing WhatsApp. I think they have some huge things coming. Even their AI glasses are relatively impressive given how early it is. They're not there yet. They're not all the way there yet, but you're getting to see real time some very, very important things that could very well be game-changing in the future there with Meta. But with stock, right? So we care about numbers and bottom line numbers, and this company prints money. So I'm glad it's on there. I'm a little bit sad it's fallen a couple spots. Maybe it can work its way back up, especially if we get a significant dip in the stock. Hopefully it works its way back up there in regards to where it's at on our list here as retail investors. But it's a great company, and I'm glad to see it still stayed on the list. So stock number 8 is Palantir. And it took forever to get Palantir on this list, but we got it on there. It's staying on the list, which is great news. But unfortunately, you guys know, I've been saying it for a while, it is overvalued. That doesn't mean the company's not good, hasn't been putting up incredible earnings. It has. It's put up incredible earnings, but keep in mind, this is why I preach listening to the earnings calls and ignoring the noise so much. When this stock was, I don't know, all the way up until last year, you could buy this stock for under $20 or right around that $20 range, all the way down to $6 or so, right? If you were really early into this stock. But it didn't make this list until it was well over $100 per share. That's where I preach those earnings calls and everything else so much, so important, because I knew it was a great company then. I didn't know it would take off like it was, right? But I don't need to know that. My job is not to guess when a stock is going to take off. My job is to identify a great company that's performing on earnings, and Wall Street is disrespecting it for whatever reason. It doesn't matter what the narrative is. It has nothing to do with outside of traders playing trader games. And my job is just simply to buy and buy and buy, fill out my position, and then add bonus shares if Wall Street wants to continue to be stupid, because sooner or later, a great stock always returns to that fair value. The fundamentals always catch up to the stock price, or vice versa, right? The fundamentals are way up here, stock price is way down here. At some point in time, it's going to catch up. And the longer it goes, the more that rubber band is stretched, the faster and the quicker and the bigger that run is. And we saw that right there, what happened with Palantir. You had years to build out a position in that stock. I know right here on this channel, we were busy building out that position despite all the negative narratives. Even on YouTube, even some of the ultra bulls were negative around that stock at various times. We weren't. We stayed the course, stayed into earnings, stayed into what mattered, not Alex banging a table, but what were the actual numbers, right? What's that free cash flow number looking like? That's a little bit more important than what color t-shirt Alex is wearing or whether or not he bangs a table or, he looks ridiculous. Doesn't freaking matter. I care about performance in the end. That's what Palantir gives us and has been giving us for a long time. Of course, we'll see exactly what earnings has for us this time around. Going to be very, very interesting, but I'm glad that this one right here is still on our list. But the next stock is quite disappointing. And it is number 7, and that is GameStop, which of course it jumped up a few spots. So it's actually moving up the list, whereas opposed to some of those great stocks are moving down the list. It makes no sense to me at all whatsoever. I don't know what we see in it. I know some of you guys like to argue with me down in the comments a little bit, and it just, I'm sorry, when you're giving me arguments like they have a lot of cash, how'd they raise that cash? Oh, look, their revenue's declining, but it's a growing business. Literally makes no sense. There's nothing in regards to GameStop that I want to own or that I want any part of, and it definitely can't justify its valuation. That no chance in the world. But we are in a speculative market, and I guess it should be no surprise that people are out there speculating again on something like a GameStop. So for me, I'm staying far, far away. Maybe there's a trade there. I have no idea. Again, I'm a long-term buy and hold investor, not a trader. So if you're trading it, might very well be a great trade out there. I have no idea. I'm just speaking to the long-term investor crowd. This is definitely a stock you want to stay far, far away from. Number 6 is Microsoft. It's a great company, great everything around it. They've had great earnings. There's nothing about Microsoft that I don't like. Now, the stock is not crazy overvalued or anything else of that nature. It's good to see it solidly in this group. It usually is solidly on this list and has been for really since I've been looking at this list. It has been right there. It's a solid company, a great buy. I have no reason to think that it should fall or raise to any level. If it was all the way up to number 1, I would understand it. If it fell off the list, I'd be kind of confused as to what the heck was going on, unless there's some sort of a major fraud or something else going on there. But assuming we haven't seen anything like that, it's a great buy. Good to see it on this list. Good to see it staying steady on this list, more importantly. But unfortunately, we're right back to the junk again with number 5, and that is Ford. I know that they're trying to make some changes there at Ford. I know that they're trying to turn that business around. I don't even really mind the CEO all that much with some of the things that he says and some of the initiatives he's wanting to take and some of the epiphanies he's had per se. But when I look at the business itself, you can't get rid of the albatrosses that are around that business. Bankruptcy is the only way to get rid of a lot of the junk that is all over their financials. And that's the biggest problem with Ford and really all legacy auto is that they have these albatrosses that they can't get rid of any other way other than through bankruptcy court. So they are saddled with them. So even if they're able to turn their business around, make it highly profitable, those profits are all going to get eaten up by all those different albatrosses that are out there. It's just one of those things. I don't understand why we own it. I don't understand why it's so high on this list. I know some folks have said it's for the dividend, but there's far better dividend stocks that will give you not only share growth potential, but also larger dividends as well in the future. So this is one for me. I'm just baffled by it. Can't explain it. That's okay. Sometimes stocks on this list don't make any sense, and we just got to go with it. So stock number 4 is Apple. Now this one actually fell big over the past month. So I don't know how it fell so big or why. It made a good march up, then it fell really big, and that's okay. Maybe it's valuation concerns, because I definitely have those too. We'll see exactly what iPhone sales are. First, it was a disaster and nobody's going to buy this new phone, and now it's like, wow, they're all sold out, and oh my gosh, they're having to increase, their supply chains and everything else in order to produce more of the phones because there's so much demand. Where it really lies, nobody knows. Everybody's guessing. Apple does not release those numbers. We'll see what happens on earnings calls and see the commentary that Tim Cook and team over there gives us in regards to Apple. But this is definitely a safety stock. Wall Street runs to it for safety. I'm assuming us as retailer run into it as safety as well. And we'll see what they have in store for us on this earnings call. But a little bit surprised to see this stock fall as much as it did. So stock number 3 is Amazon. Again, you guys know I'm so glad that this one is actually moving up the list. It is still undervalued. No, it's not back in the mid 100s or so like it was just a few months ago, but it is still undervalued from a valuation perspective. And Amazon's just a beast. They are executing so high and the narratives around them are so ridiculously stupid. It's just funny. It's kind of like Google was for me, last year when the narratives were just all negative and I'm all negative. Excuse me if I could talk. Anyways, the point being, the narratives were all negative around Google. Oh my gosh, ChatGPT is eating their lunch, despite the fact in earnings that wasn't true at all. You could physically see search growing, double digits, by the way, which that doesn't happen if somebody else is eating your lunch. Just ridiculous stuff like that. you see Amazon just plugging right along. People concerned with AWS and other things of that nature. That's just Wall Street trading narratives, guys. You got to get those sort of things out of your head. Look at the numbers, look at what they're doing on earnings, look at all the irons that they have in the fire, more importantly for the future, like advertising and some other things of that nature that they're just now ramping up. And there's going to be a lot of money printed to the bottom line for Amazon, not including their expansion of their traditional business, which they just continue to make it bigger and better and faster. And yes, that's CapEx heavy, but stuff like advertising that's high margin is absolutely going to help cushion that blow and accelerate EPS growth in the future. So I love Amazon, love seeing it high on here. I got no issues with this one whatsoever. So stock number 2 is NVIDIA. Again, another great company here on this list. Obviously, I don't know where they're on evaluation. I should have checked that before I actually jumped on here and push play or record, excuse me. But I don't know. NVIDIA is a great company. They've continued to crush it earnings in and earnings out now for a few years. This has been an incredible all-time great performance by Jensen. He's worth every dime that he has paid. Love everything that they're doing over there at NVIDIA. And they still got a few more years of this runway before folks are going to catch up and there's going to start being alternatives. And of course, the big tech is going to have options in terms of getting the biggest and the best for all the different things that they're doing in AI. It's got a little bit more of a runway to go there. How much longer? We'll have to wait and see. But for right now, NVIDIA is a strong company that has great fundamentals, great business underneath, great leadership. Everything across the board there is wonderful. And we'll see what they come up with. They might very well have the next big thing that will blow everybody's next big thing out of the water. Just have to wait and see. To say that they can't do that is simply not true because they just did it a couple of years ago and they continue to improve upon that. And stock number 1 is Tesla. Now this stock made a big jump up. And of course it correlates with a big, massive move in Tesla. Again, it's just kind of one of these themes of this particular deal where all of a sudden it's the number 1 stock after it has its big run. Where's Tesla at right now in regards to valuation? I don't think there's too many people arguing it's overvalued. Absolutely it is by every single metric. Now, not crazy like it was in 2021. So anybody trying to draw those conclusions, despite the fact the share price is actually higher than it was back in 2021, that's silly. It's not even close to that level yet. However, to say it hasn't had a big jump up in regards to valuation and to say that there aren't some massive headwinds that are going to be very difficult to navigate, you're also just simply ignoring facts at that stage or just being a Tesla fanboy or whatever the case is. Yes, there are some big things coming for Tesla. I think a couple years, some of those things are really going to produce some nice numbers down to the bottom line. But outside of that, new model that might very well be here, who knows when, hopefully it gets here or there in the next quarter, will help cushion that blow. But those EV credits going away, that's why you're seeing such good numbers this quarter. It makes perfect sense. Understand it completely. But boy, the big misstep there with the Cybertruck versus the cheaper model was definitely a misstep. And it absolutely put Tesla in a spot there to where they're playing a little bit of catch up here. I know they're more than an auto company, I'm well aware, but it makes up more than 80% of the bottom line, which is what matters in investing. And that's not changing over the next couple of years. Sure, I would love to see energy continue to come up and get better. But like Elon said, not me, like Elon said, it's going to be hit and miss. Some quarters it's going to be wonderful. Other quarters it's going to be disappointing because it just isn't to that predictable run rate yet. Again, that right there to me, I almost am more excited about that than I am Robotaxi at this stage because nobody really knows how much it's going to work, how long it's going to take for FSD to actually get here, how long it's actually going to take for all the different regulatory stuff to get approved and everything else. And more importantly, what is the actual cost going to be and everything else. Everybody is guessing at this stage. I understand Elon likes to throw numbers out there, but if you're buying Elon's numbers, you've been wrong way more than you've been right over the course of the history with this stock. I love the excitement. I love the enthusiasm, but generally speaking, they tend to be way off in regards to their estimates on that. So obviously you guys know I own Tesla, but seeing it jump up to number 1 to me was a little bit surprising, but I guess I shouldn't be surprised because it is Tesla after all. And this is just simply how the stock moves. And remember, if you want to see all the stocks I'm looking to buy in real time, see my complete watch list with buy targets, get your free coaching, get free courses, be a part of the best 6, 7, and 8 figure Discord out there. Guys, there's so much involved in the group. Check out the pinned comment, take advantage of the fall frenzy sale that's going on right now, and get your membership before the price goes back up. And click this video here if you want to see exactly what I'm buying in this market. And click here to see my exact plan for this market. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.